Welcome to Everything Co-op, bringing you information on how cooperatives can help improve your quality of life. This show is being sponsored by the National Co-op Bank, NCB. The NCB is dedicated to strengthening communities nationwide for the delivery of banking and financial services for the nation's cooperatives, their members, and other socially responsible organizations. For more information on the power of community ownership, visit ncb.coop. That's ncb.coop. Now stay tuned for your host, Vernon Oakes.
Good morning, everybody. This is Vernon Oakes. Program is Everything Cooperative. Program is brought to you by the National Cooperative Bank. You know, the National Cooperative Bank provides this program so that you can find out the benefits of cooperatives. We believe that this is the bank and myself, that the more you know about cooperatives, the more you want to both buy from them, perhaps even start one on your own to solve some community problem. But Mr. Chuck Snyder said that he's the president of the National Cooperative Bank. He said co-ops are nothing but people helping people. And this morning, we have Equal Exchange is a cooperative, a worker cooperative in Massachusetts. And did you know that 48 women are raped every hour in the Congo? This is what a study found. Every minute, there's a woman that has facing sexual harassment in the Congo. And what can you do about it? Well, Equal Exchange is doing something about it, and they're doing something about things all over the world. And this morning we have Mr. Rodney North on the phone. Good morning, Rodney. Well, he was there. We'll see if he'll get back on.
Hello.
Hey, oh, great.
Yeah, hi, Vernon. Thank you for having me on.
Thank you for being on. And thank you for all that you all do all over the world, which we want to talk about today. And maybe we can tell our listeners some of the things that they can do to help the women in the Congo and other people around the world.
I'm really looking forward to that.
Okay. How did you get involved in co-ops?
Well, this is a kind of funny thing, and I think it's indicative of how a lot of people first encounter a co-op, which is that they weren't necessarily looking for it. So in my case, coming out of college, I was really interested in the stark poverty in the global South, places like the Caribbean, Latin America. And I heard about Equal Exchange, this very unusual company that had pioneered this thing called fair trade, which we'll talk about more, where as a coffee company, it was voluntarily paying more to these small-scale farmers, these farmers who were always kind of squeezed by the market, that they were dirt poor, just as they had been for 100 years. And it was always other people in the coffee industry who were making the money. And Equal Exchange was doing something about that and voluntarily paying more to these small farmers to help them get out of poverty. And that attracted me. What I didn't understand was that Equal Exchange was, air quotes, a cooperative, that it was owned and governed by its own employees. And even after I arrived, that didn't really mean much. It seemed nice. It didn't seem critical. But the longer that I was here, by the way, I arrived back in 96, so getting close to 19 years ago. So after I'd been here a while, I began to appreciate and then really get excited about what it meant to be a part of a worker cooperative where we, the employees, owned the business. We all owned it in equal stakes. The founder and the new woman in the warehouse all had one share of stock, and that we were applying, cherished democratic principles to business. Typically democracy sort of stays in the voting booth or in the political campaigns. We don't apply democracy day to day, but here at Equal Exchange we actually do.
So let's make sure I understand.
Stumbled into it.
Rodney, let me make sure I understand that you got into it for your own value system of trying to help poor folks, poor farmers. You were looking. This is right out of college, you said?
Yes.
So you're looking, and so you're what you want to do with your life is to help people that are underserved.
Right, people for whom the system doesn't work. And I think a lot of us and a lot of your listeners, they'll know what I mean. Certainly today we talk a lot about the 1% and the 99%. And like these small farmers in places like Jamaica or Peru, they're the 99%. The marketplace doesn't work for them, and that's why they're poor no matter how hard they work. And Equal Exchange was trying to change that.
So these poor farmers, the marketplace you're talking about is the capitalistic marketplace, I would assume.
And I'll say up front that it's because some people will read into what I'm saying and they may misunderstand. We're not saying that capitalism per se is evil, rather just that it's indifferent. It's not trying to achieve any particular kind of moral end. And that indifference can allow a lot of bad things to happen, a lot of suffering. And Equal Exchange was saying, hey, wait a minute, just because the marketplace is encouraging us, the coffee company, to pay really low prices, we're just not going to. Like if you could hire somebody for a nickel to mow your lawn,
you might not because it just feels bad. And you go like, no, I'm going to pay you $10 to mow my lawn because that's just the decent thing to do. And likewise at Equal Exchange and other fair trade enterprises, we were saying, like, we're going to apply the golden rule and treat others as we would want to be treated. We just happen to be lucky, right? We're here in the north in a rich country where we have a lot of the control, and we're going to voluntarily spread the economic pie, from our coffee business differently so that these other people have a chance. And maybe we'll talk more about this, or you'll talk about it in a later show. Interestingly, we found that the best way we could help was to work with these small-scale farmers who had come together into farmer cooperatives, such that they would have the strength of numbers, and that 100 men and women or 1,000 men and women together could begin to change their circumstances, and we would meet them halfway as a friendly business partner. Thankfully, it's really caught on.
We're going to get this fair trade. I think we're going to go right there because when you talk about the golden rule, treat others as you would like to be treated, this program has been on about 14 months now, and so this is the first time that phrase has been talked about. But a couple weeks ago, a lady from Cabot Cheese said that being in a co-op is karma building. So it's a similar kind of thing as you're treating people better and better, as you're helping other folks, then it also helps you. So tell me what this fair trade is about.
Yeah, so, as I alluded to, the founders of Equal Exchange were three young men here in the Boston area in the 1980s, and they were working in the food distribution business.
But also they were politically aware. Some of them had traveled abroad, and they could see that the harder and harder that they pushed to secure potatoes or wheat or coffee or bananas for a low price, that there was a consequence. That the less, and this is the nature of the marketplace, right? There were distributors that wanted to buy low and sell for more. They, by the way, were working within a cooperative enterprise, which meant that they were exposed to this other philosophy, and they were trying to serve their customers, which were hundreds and hundreds of small stores around New England, and they realized that the more they tried to secure cheap food and ingredients for these stores, that was putting downward pressure on the incomes of farmers, and they wanted to bring the welfare of the farmers into the picture so that the farmers didn't bear the brunt of this dynamic. They realized that there were some other people in the world, especially in Europe, who were pioneering this idea called fair trade, where you would voluntarily pay small-scale farmers more, and you would go seek out farmer cooperatives in particular as your suppliers, because farmers need more than just a better price. If you're a small-scale farmer, you have maybe 5 acres, you're just like a minnow in the ocean. You have no leverage. But when the farmers come together into groups, they begin to get some leverage. If they get big enough, they can actually do their own exporting, and they get a lot more control over what's happening, more business control. They get more information. They have more leverage to negotiate. So these three young men, Michael, Jonathan and Rink, went off on their own, created their own business, decided that they would source coffee, among other things, from small-scale farmers, and they would enact this, what was then a new idea called fair trade. That was now over 28 years ago. It's worked. It's worked for us. The fair trade idea eventually caught on. You can now go into some McDonald's or even a Walmart and find a fair trade product. And they've grown our own business, a worker cooperative, into one of the largest in North America.
So this was about 86 they had this idea.
Yeah, well, the idea went earlier, but it was in 86 when they really went off on their own, opened the doors to this new business called
Equal Exchange.
Yeah.
Well, that's fascinating because 86 is when I came to Washington, D.C., so I have a real good sense of how long ago that was and how well they have done this business. So fair trade is really paying a fair price or even more than a fair price, and somebody has to decide what fair is. I like your idea of 5 cents cut your grass, where the marketplace is saying $10 or something. You rather, even if they ask $5, you say no. The right price to pay in this market is $10. I'm going to give you the 10.
Right. So there's a whole lot of details we can get into, and the way fair trade is defined or codified will vary between different crops. It's one formula for bananas and something different for coffee or tea. But the gist of it is that there is a floor that is set for a given crop, a floor price. It's equivalent to a minimum wage.
Mm-hmm.
There's that, or the market. Now, we hear about the oil market. It's at $48 a barrel. It's $100 a barrel. It's fluctuating all the time. And this is happening for every commodity: pork bellies, corn futures, coffee, and other things. And so if the coffee world price for coffee is down, and often it is, the farmers are protected because they have this insurance policy, knowing that Equal Exchange is going to pay them this higher price. Now, if the coffee price spikes, which it does periodically, well, then they win again because we're going to pay them that market price. The market price or the floor, whichever is higher. The point is that they're protected against these, periodic, recurring bust, where the price of their commodity has just gone through the floor. And in that way, there's more stability for them, which helps them to get out of poverty, helps them to make plans. Also, it means we're sharing risk. Usually the farmer is taking all the risk. It's not Folgers or Starbucks. It's, the farmer on a hillside in Peru who's wondering, is the rain going to come this year? Or, is our bugs going to eat my crop? So in this case, through things like the guaranteed floor prices and other mechanisms, we're shifting some of the risk to Equal Exchange because we're, frankly, in a better position to bear the risk. And again, even though the market would have us, let the farmer be on the hook, we just don't think that's right.
Okay.
So we take some of the risk, and lo and behold, they really appreciate it. There's all kinds of benefits that we get because we've done right by these farmers we partner with.
Done right is what I'm hearing you say, and that's you were looking to do right when you came out of college. You found Equal Exchange. They were looking to do right for people around the world, and you all came together and you found about a co-op. We're going to take a break and come back and talk about this co-op model when we get back. Please don't touch that dial. We'll be right back.
1450 WOL.
When we left off, we were talking about doing right, the golden rule, treating others as you would like to be treated. And we have Mr. Rodney North from Equal Exchange on the line with us this morning. And he was looking for somewhere to work in his world that he could do right by people. And he found Equal Exchange, and it was started in 1986, where these three people wanted to do right by smaller farmers throughout the world, pay them a fair price. And so that's what we're talking about. But now we want to talk about co-ops. And so let me start with a definition. A co-op is any business. Any business you can think about can be a cooperative. The difference is who owns it. And if the employees own it, it's called a worker co-op, and that's what Equal Exchange is. And we're going to talk more about that this segment. And if it's owned by the people that buy the products or services, it's called a consumer co-op. And you can get into a couple other co-ops, producer co-ops, and a lot of times farmers, they come together, as Rodney was talking about, to sell their products. And the other one, is it called a marketing co-op, Rodney, where you come together so you buy?
Well, there's a whole host of different types. So one, people probably have heard of Ace Hardware or True Value. These are cooperatives. In this case, it's your local mom and pop hardware store. They are members of a much bigger organization, probably includes thousands of other mom and pop retailers, in big cities and small towns. Together, they own this thing called Ace Hardware. And together, that can build a brand. They can do group purchasing. So it's not one store trying to buy shovels and screwdrivers. It's 1,000 stores. So they have much better, economies of scale. It allows them to compete against the Home Depots and the Lowe's. Best Western, same concept but applied to motels. Actually, the Associated Press is a cooperative. It is owned by news agencies, newspapers, radio stations, et cetera, around North America. Together they own this big thing called AP. So, and of course there's credit unions. There are hundreds and hundreds of billions of dollars of the money of Americans deposited in your local credit union. They can be small, they can be big, like the Navy Federal Credit Union. And so this concept can be applied to almost every kind of enterprise.
So Equal Exchange is a worker cooperative.
Yes, and that is the least common of all forms of co-ops. So whereas almost every American community has a credit union, there are only 300 worker co-ops in the United States. That's out of over 330 million people. So, there's less than one worker co-op for every million people. And also these are smaller businesses. We have about 150 employees, which makes us the second biggest.
150 employees?
Yeah. And, when you're talking about everything from the local gas station to General Motors, we're what you call a small business. But in the world of co-ops, we're a bigger fish in a smaller pond.
Mm-hmm.
And, by the way, recently there has been a PBS documentary called Shift Change. It's actually aired in the Washington, D.C. area this past summer. It may be airing again in 2015. And it's a great 1-hour documentary. We happen to be in it. I happen to be in it. And it introduces people to this idea of workers owning and controlling their enterprise.
Well, I'd like to see that one. I'd love to see it. So out of your 150 employees, do they all own a portion of the business? You said that there's one share. Each employee has a share of stock. And it doesn't make any difference whether they're in management or janitorial staff. There's only one share of stock. So how many people in there own the business?
Right now it's 117, and out of the 150. Now, because employees get to be owners, there's a two-step process. It isn't like, oh, hey, hi, you're the new salesperson. Here's your share of stock. It's not that simple. We want to be sure that you're ready to assume the responsibilities of ownership and to be a co-owner with the rest of us. So your first year is a probationary year, and we have an intensive education program so that even as you're doing your day job, stocking shelves or, selling coffee and tea, periodically you're getting lessons and instruction about what is a co-op, what are the responsibilities, how do you exercise your rights as a worker-owner. How do you get involved? And the new employees getting a feel for this, seeing if they like it. We're also getting a chance to assess them. And then at the end of their year, their supervisor and also a mentor. When you arrive, we assign you a mentor from some other department who would help you with all. They're not going to help you with their job. They're going to help you to get acclimated to this idea of a worker cooperative. So at the end of 12 months, your mentor and your supervisor will make a statement, basically it's like an endorsement, this is why I think Betty would make a really great new member of our co-op. I encourage you to vote for Betty. We vote, and consistently we get good candidates, and so we vote Betty in, and she gets to be the newest member. And at that point, she will buy her stock and become the newest member of the cooperative and get all the rights that go with that.
So she has to buy her stock?
Sure. It's not a very big price tag. It's roughly $3,500, and most people do it through payroll deductions over a period of years, so that's just not a big price at any one time. And the way this mechanism works will vary co-op to co-op. Some cooperatives have a 6-month probationary period. There's one which is very successful, very durable. That cooperative has a 5-year waiting period. And some people have just a $1 purchase of stock. It's just a nominal transaction. But also, I know cooperatives, especially in Europe, where you may have to pay $50,000 for your share of stock. So it depends on the type of business that they're in. I was just thinking of in Italy, these are manufacturing businesses that have tens of millions of dollars of equipment and lots of inventory, lots of buildings, and so they don't give up a share of stock easily, and that's why the buy-in price is so high. But these are just the particulars which can vary co-op to co-op depending upon the circumstances.
I guess $3,500 is not too bad if you could take it out over time on your payroll, and you have a large training, you said, and a mentor.
Yeah, and in exchange for, when you become an owner, and this would be true for any business, you then have a claim on a share of the profits. You also have to bear a share of the losses. The formula goes both ways. And we have consistently been profitable 25 of the last 26 years. And we find that when you get your share of profits, which is called patronage in the co-op world, that most people are able to pay for their share of stock within 18 or 24 months.
Okay.
So they get a very good return on their investment, at least, knock on wood, if we continue to be as successful as we have been so far.
So you're looking to do the right thing coming out of college, and these 3 people started Equal Exchange to do the right thing toward smaller farmers throughout the world. You even make money. You can still make money to where the individuals that own this property, that own the business, the 117 of you right now that own it, even you get your salary and you get a dividend. 25 of the 26 years. It's always amazing to me that the model is so fantastic, and the people in the business are the ones that are getting wealth generation. It's like, why aren't there more of these?
That's a really interesting question, which we talk about a lot in the worker cooperative world. I think there's a whole host of reasons why there aren't more. For one thing, it works really well for the workers.
Mm-hmm.
That's the purpose. A cooperative serves its members. In this case, we, the workers, are the members. Now, most entrepreneurs, they can go make more money doing something else. And it was just due to the goodwill and the high ideals of the founders of Equal Exchange that they decided that, no, we're going to share this baby with all the employees. They could have just kept it, the ownership to the three founders, which is what happens 99% of the time. They didn't do that. And they clearly would be wealthier had they done that. Except, there's a big caveat, we might not have been as successful as we are if we had had a conventional business.
We're going to take another break, so we're going to come back and talk about that success as a business and what's the difference in as a worker co-op.
Yeah, they're very much interlinked.
Okay. Fascinating. I'm really enjoying this conversation. If anybody out there has a question or a comment, if you're enjoying it, just call us up and tell us, or if with any questions, you can call 1-800-450-7876. The National Co-op Bank is providing this service to you, supporting it, so you'll know more about cooperatives, so that you can buy from them and or start one yourself. We'll be right back.
1450 WOL.
Welcome back. This is Vernon Oakes talking to you about cooperatives. We talk everything about these cooperatives and why they work, why they're successful. And we have Rodney North from Equal Exchange on the line with us today. And when we left off, we were talking about what makes these cooperatives, worker cooperatives, successful. Rodney, you want to talk to us about, you're saying these three people started this. They could have made more money, perhaps, if they had started a normal capitalistic where they own 100% of the business and hired workers. But they chose to do a cooperative, and because of that, they may have been even more successful than if they had chosen a normal route. So what's the difference? What causes that?
Yeah, so when a lot of people look at Equal Exchange, they're often scratching their head. Now, we are a for-profit business. We pay taxes. We compete, with the Starbucks and the Nestle's and whomever. But we seem to have this nonprofit type of mission where we're voluntarily paying farmers more. We're taking on more risk ourselves. The founders shared the company in equal parts with all the employees. And it seems like, those three gentlemen, the entrepreneurs, that they, quote, left money on the table. Now, however, so many of the things that they've done and that we as a business have done have been a big part of our success. So now we are a $60 million business, but that doesn't mean we would have been so big had they decided to run just a conventional business. So, for example, sure, we pay farmers more, but also we get more loyalty from them. If there's a bad crop, they're going to fulfill their contracts to us first. We're going to get the best quality of their coffee. And we've gotten a lot of free publicity, a lot of endorsements, because we do the right thing. And so, for example, there's a dozen different faith-based groups that have partnered with us, and they promote what we do to the Baptist community, to the Lutheran, the Presbyterian, the Methodist community, because they're excited about what we're doing. So the fair trade thing has also paid these, quote, dividends to us. Regarding worker ownership, yes, the founders have shared the business and the wealth generated with everybody, but it's really led to great employee commitment and loyalty. There's a lot of, also, remember I mentioned all these faith-based partners of ours. They appreciate the fact that we have this egalitarian, fair distribution of ownership. So they would not have endorsed us otherwise had we not had this co-op model. And this has happened over and over again. So, for example, your sponsor, the National Co-op Bank, they were one of our very first lenders back in the 80s and 90s. Mm-hmm. They would not have lent us money had we not been a cooperative. We would not have had access to that. And again, today, they are, again, one of our bankers. We have a $2.5 million line of credit. with the National Co-op Bank. We have checking services with them. We wouldn't have that option if we weren't a cooperative. There's actually a whole hour-long talk I give on this topic where supposedly the generous thing that we did or the founders did has repeatedly come back to us, again, like karma, where we did the right thing, but we also derived some other benefit, not just a good feeling, but we actually derived a benefit that made us more viable as a business. So, in short, often doing the right thing or the noble thing can also help make you a more viable enterprise.
I think that's why I love co-ops so much. And once I've learned about them, and the reason I start off by asking you, how did you get involved? Because I knew nothing about co-ops through my formal education, a couple master's degrees. Nowhere did I hear about this model. And it wasn't until I started managing properties, housing cooperatives. That's what I do as a full-time job, is property manager, that I found out about these. And that's the more I learn about co-ops, the more I love them. I love it. It's the passion of the golden rule, doing the right thing for, you're doing the right thing for a whole host of people. That your employees are people, everyday people that can not only make a living, but they have a say in how the business works through voting, the democratic you talked about, and they get part of the dividend so they can create wealth. It's fascinating. Huh? That's why I say, why aren't there more?
Let's get back to why are there not more. It depends what your goal is. Now, so many entrepreneurs, their goal is not to create jobs or, spread the wealth. Their goal is, many people, they just love what they're doing. They like to build cars or write software or cut hair, whatever it is, and they want a business where they can do the thing they love. That's fine. Some people, they want to make money. They want to create a successful business, grow it, sell it, or, run it for a long time. Now, if your goal is to create wealth or create jobs or, provide, good financial services to your community, then maybe it's, a co-op can do that. I will start a credit union. I will start a food co-op so that my neighborhood has affordable, high-quality food, healthy food. There in D.C., there's a great food co-op, Tacoma Park, Silver Spring. That was founded by people in the neighborhood who wanted a certain kind of grocery store, so they did it themselves. And that might be the mantra for co-ops, and that is, let's do it ourselves. For years, and this is going way back into the 20s, 30s, 1940s, large parts of the United States still did not have electricity because the conventional utility companies couldn't be bothered to run wires, out to, rural Nebraska or, northern Mississippi.
Mm-hmm.
So people in those communities, they had to go do it themselves, start what are called rural electric co-ops. And so now, measuring by, square miles, 40% of the U.S. is served by electric co-ops, not by, Instar or National Grid or Con Edison. So again, that's that idea that people can start an enterprise to provide any kind of good or service, and it's a totally different animal from starting a business because you want to get wealthy or starting a business because you like to do X, Y, Z. The people who start co-ops have a broader set of, constituents that they're trying to serve.
A gentleman by the name of Papa Sin from Senegal was on the program, and he said that co-ops have started to solve some community need. If there's no community need, no community problem, then there's no need for a co-op.
So what community doesn't have problems?
Yeah, that's it. And so every community could use a co-op. People coming together, as in Silver Springs, or there's another food co-op in Greenbelt, Maryland. They could come together and provide the food, or provide the electricity, or telephones, and or help farmers in to get a fair price.
And now, there are more worker co-ops being started in Washington, D.C., which is a very exciting development.
Yes, and I want to try to get some of them on the program. But, going back to NCB, the National Co-op Bank was founded in the 80s to just do this, to help organizations like Equal Exchange, and they have a very tough job. I asked Chuck Snyder, how do you do it? Because most bankers have to make sure that you can pay it back. And so they look for people that already have capital, already have money, already have resources to loan money to, because they have a better chance of getting it back. If they don't pay it, then they can go grab something. But when you get a company like Equal Exchange that's getting started and they have this great idea of doing the right thing, then normal bankers would not fund them. Okay, you have no track record.
Right, no collateral. Yep.
And so here the National Co-op Bank would come in and make those loans early on and still continue 28 years later with a $2.5 million line of credit. So that's why NCB is here, and that's why they're sponsoring this program. So more and more people would want to do the right thing and solve whatever the community problem that they may have, come together and learn about how to do it together. And you've been working there since, how long had you said, 19 years?
96, so I'm coming up on my 19th anniversary.
Do you like what you do?
I love what I do. I was talking with a friend. He doesn't work here. He works for an allied organization. And he said that you probably have the best job in the coffee industry, which I always thought I had a great job. And when he said it, that made me feel that much better. But as your listeners don't know it yet, but we do more than coffee. We do chocolate and bananas and tea and dried fruit. And so by extension, I have the best job in the chocolate industry. I have the best job in the banana industry. I love telling people about what we're doing and about these alternatives that we're trying to promote. And yes, it's very gratifying.
I'm almost speechless when you say the best job. You got the best job, and therefore when you go, do you ever get up in the morning and say, boy, I don't want to go to work?
No. No, I mean, it's been a real pleasure. And I think that it's something we hear a lot from people here. A lot of what we do is like what you would find at another coffee company or a tea company. But why we do it is different. How we do it is different. The way that the profits or losses are distributed is different. And that makes a big difference. So, yeah, you may be picking orders in the warehouse, but the context is different, and that changes everything. And I don't think that can be – I don't think you can say enough about what that means. I think it's a real shame that more people don't have work that is, truly gratifying, that does more than pay the rent.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that no job should be, soul crushing. That's a complaint we hear a lot. Some jobs, they pay better or worse, but even some of the ones that pay well, just crush people. They're demoralizing. You don't know, you have no access to information about your business. You have no control. You're just sort of, at the whim of other people's decisions. And in a worker cooperative, it's not like that. We as a group, 117 of us now, we're making the very biggest decisions. We don't make every small decision like, what ad should we run in the local paper? That'll be handled by sales and marketing. But we're deciding, what is our purpose? How much of the profit are we going to take for ourselves, and how much are we going to reinvest in the company? We're electing our board from amongst our colleagues. We're going to represent us on the board of directors. We actually have a board of directors meeting today, and I'm going to observe that, like a lot of my colleagues are going to do. So even while you're still, doing accounts payable, or you're, making sure the lights, making sure that the insurance is paid, or you're doing whatever you need to do, but why you do it is different. And we would love to see more worker co-ops get started and to grow and to offer this other kind of employment opportunity to people.
It's fascinating, Rodney, absolutely fascinating. One of the things that I have learned doing this program now, that we're in the 15th month, a year and 3 months, it's December. So consistently, everybody's been on this program talk about how they love their job, how they love getting up in the morning and doing what they do. And they know why they're doing it. They know the benefits of it. You're able to help smaller farmers throughout the world. You're able to help your employees, your next door neighbor. So it's much bigger than, okay, we're going to get some coffee or bananas or tea. Okay, we're going to talk more about the products. Thank you for being here, and I'm really enjoying this conversation. And because of that, next week we're having Beth Ann Casperson, who is in charge of your quality control.
Correct.
She'll be on next week talking more about the farmers and what happens on the outside of the business.
And especially about the Congo. She's the expert.
Yeah, we're going to get back to that because I started off by saying how people can, that's listening, can help. And we'll talk about that. We have to take another break. We talked a lot about your products. So we're going to take a break, and we'll be right back. And, I have one more. This hour goes by too quick. I think I could talk to you for 2 or 3 hours. Please don't touch the dial. We'll be right back.
1450 WOL.
Information is power. That's why WL has been a great partner to bring on this show with the National Co-op Bank. We're providing for you information about cooperatives. Hopefully you'll get excited about them and want to start your own cooperative. Just look around your community and see what's needed, whatever problems you might have, and a group of you could get together and form a cooperative to solve those problems. Rodney, you talked about the product. What I would like to do is start off by telling people how they can help. And I just made a purchase. I went on the web page, and the web page is www.equalexchange, EQUALEXCHANGE.coop. So if you go to shop.equalexchange.coop, you can buy their products. And I bought their pansy bag, which is made by, and we'll talk more about this next week, from women in the Congo, peppermint tea. I bought some hot chocolate, jasmine green tea, a couple fruit bars, some cashews. I bought some chocolate winter mints, and I bought some organic Congo coffee. And it only came to $79, and you can put in the code VOAKS, in the promotional code VOAKS, and you'll get a one-time 10% discount. So you could go on, and part of this money, particularly with the pansy bag and the Congo coffee, will go toward the folks in the Congo. This cannot be combined with any other offer, and it's not valid for wholesale customers, and this promotion expires December 31st. But you can go to their webpage and you can order. And what excited me about this is that I'm helping 5 groups of people all the way through the Congo, the workers and the farmers. I'm also helping. I'm going to be giving some gifts, going back on and giving some gifts. So I'm going to help my friends to have good products. I did, when Rodney, I did meet once here in D.C., and he gave me one of their bars, and I really enjoyed it. I'm diabetic, Rodney, so I got to find out if this is helping or hurting my diabetes stuff, because it was really great.
Well, I also know that you're very smart, and you'll figure it out.
Okay. Who are your customers then?
So our customers can be found anywhere, and any of your listeners might be one of our customers, and they may not even know it. So obviously, not obviously, but because we import and sell a wide variety of things, mostly organic, all of it is fair trade, but it includes coffee, tea, bananas, chocolate, cocoa, dried fruit and nuts, olive oil. So our customers include grocery stores like the Mom's chain around the D.C. area, My Organic Market, TPSS, the Greenbelt Co-op. Also, we have about 8,000 faith-based organizations as customers. So it could be a local Baptist church, a local synagogue, or Methodist church. And we have about 8,000 of those. And here the congregations, most of them serve coffee, and they've switched. They've gotten rid of the Folgers, and they've introduced us. Many congregations also like to do holiday bazaars where they're going to sell crafts, and increasingly churches like to use fair trade bazaars where they know that the food products or the scarves and the housewares and the jewelry are being made by artisans who are paid a fair price, or made by farmers who are paid a fair price. And so, at your local congregation, you may see a sale, like a bazaar, and many of those people are selling our products. Increasingly, people just go directly to our website, which you mentioned, shop.equalexchange.coop, and they just directly make a purchase for their home or for their small office or for their congregation. And again, there's that discount you talked about, the 10% discount. And there is schools. So many, you have your local elementary, middle, high school. They are doing a fundraiser to pay for new uniforms for the band or for the basketball team or soccer team, drama club, what have you. And increasingly, schools are switching to ethical fundraisers like one that we offer, where they're benefiting their own school, even as they're also benefiting these other communities, in Uganda or El Salvador. And they and their classmates and their neighbors are learning about how our communities are linked to these other communities in the global South through this trade in products like coffee, tea, cocoa, and sugar, and that we can voluntarily make an ethical choice where we can feel good about how the money is flowing back to these farmers around the world, and at the same time, we're raising money for the drama club. So, it's a classic win-win situation, and it's a learning opportunity at the same time.
So you can do good all over the place. And I've got to tell you, the listeners out there, when I made this purchase, went online a couple of days ago and made this order, I have never spent my money and felt better, because I know that in buying these products that I'm getting a good product, and I'm helping the smaller farmers throughout the world, and I'm helping the folks in the Congo. And I don't like when I read the articles that 48 women are raped every hour in the Congo, because I don't know how to help. I don't know what I can do. But in buying these products from Equal Exchange, it helps monetarily, and I really like that. That made me feel very good. So thank you for providing me that opportunity.
Sure, and just a quick FYI, for people who want to know more about that and what we're doing in the Democratic Republic of the Congo, formerly known as Zaire, they can just Google Congo Coffee Project, and that'll take them to their website, and they can read the story. My colleague Beth Ann will be on next week. She was just there visiting with them, and we're not only importing coffee from a farmer co-op in the Congo, but in that same area. This is the eastern Congo, the most sort of a troubled part of the Congo where most of the violence is. There's a wonderful hospital called the Pansy Hospital. It's for women, the victims of all kinds of women, but especially the victims of sexual assault, which is a rampant problem over there. And part of our work is raising money for the hospital, especially our sale of these beautiful bags made by the women who are at the hospital, who are being treated and being given job training. And part of the job training is the production of these bags, which we sell on our online store. So again, to Google the Congo Coffee Project.
Well, that's the first thing I ordered was a Pansy bag. It cost $29. It looks great. I was really hoping that it may have come today so I could have brought it up here and talked about it. But I like, for only $29 to buy the bag, the price was absolutely right too. But I like spending my money knowing that I get a good product and it's doing good. That's a wonderful feeling. The hour's almost gone. I like to talk about the 7 principles, and I'm going to go through them really quick and say whatever you need to say. But Your in Equal Exchange, it is volunteer and open membership. Is that right?
Correct, and that's true for any co-op. So somebody can't stick you into a co-op without your consent. You would join voluntarily.
And it's democratically member controlled. That's what we've already talked about. You get to vote. Correct?
Yeah, yep. So, like I said, we're going to have a board meeting later today, and the people on the board, I have the option of nominating people for the board. I got to participate in the vote. I myself have served on the board for 6 years, and this again would be true for all kinds of cooperatives. The business is accountable to the members of the co-op.
What I also like that you said is that even if you're not on the board, you can go listen to the board meeting. You can go, any member can come in and be a part or listen.
Oh, yeah, and also the newer people who are not yet members, they're encouraged to attend the board meeting and to observe.
So total transparency. You get to see what's going on.
Totally, unheard of for most companies.
Members' economic participation, we've already talked about that. There's a pay-in of $3,500, but you get part of the dividend, so it works both ways. There's a pay-in and...
But also, we're on the hook. If we make mistakes and we do stupid things and we start losing money, we also bear some of the loss. And that has a very healthy kind of discipline that it enforces.
It's autonomous and independent. Nobody can come in, government official or banker, and try to tell you how to run it. The members have to run it.
Right.
Education and training is my favorite, and you've already talked about that they even have a mentor. You have to know about it in order. And if somebody didn't learn, you wouldn't want them to become a member, an owner.
Right. And so, again, we're talking about the 5 principles of co-ops. And so all co-ops should be educating their members. Like the food co-ops are excellent about this. They do a lot to educate their members about, the food you eat, the issues related to the food. And in this case, we're a worker co-op educating people about owning their business.
Cooperation among cooperatives. We've talked about that. We could spend another hour talking about what all you all do with that one. But you have something you call it double cooperative?
Well, so I've told you about, if you buy some of our coffee, it's a double co-op product. It was grown by farmer co-ops, then roasted, packaged, distributed by us, a worker co-op. So there's 2 layers of cooperation there. That's what I meant by double co-op.
Okay. And the last one is concern for the community, which is what you do, and even in starting it and you looking for a place to work. Yeah,
and all of our fair trade work is a great manifestation of our concern for community. And it shows up in other ways as well. Like we give away about 10% of our profits every year to other people working in
We got to go, baby. I'm sorry.
fair trade community.
I'm sorry. Thank you so much, Rodney, for being on.
Thank you.
All right. Thanks, everybody. We'll see you next Thursday. Have a wonderful day.
WOL